Whirling with a little bit of a squirrely moment there on the bottom as he was snapped tight on the exit of the corner. Christian Challenger trying to stay off the back of everybody. They're going to go 3-1 as they come down the front stretch with Travis whirling on the bottom. There's contact. They still keep going.
Whirling all the way to the bottom, but he doesn't have the speed. He's pinched too far to the inside. Challenger on the high side. He's going to be able to get the nose ahead. We are going green to the finish. Abramitis has the inside, but can he get it off the corner? He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. But it's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it? Abramitis takes the win by 7 thousandths of a second. The top 5 were only 700ths between each other. Unbelievable finish.
Pulling up ahead, but it's going to be 3 wide as they head down to turn 1. Look at that. That's Ian Haycock's making the move for the lead on the inside. They're almost 4 wide behind him. That's Reed Miller who gets into the back of everybody. He cleans out Yuko Leskala.
Unbelievable. Haycock's with a move that saved his bacon. He gets a great run, covering down to the inside, almost all the way to the grass. He'll force Holly to go the long way around as they approach Rent. Kings is still potentially in this. No, he's starting to drop back as he tied on fuel here. As Holly tries to go around, he might have the speed to do it if he can just challenge him down to the line. He is a little bit wide. Now Kings is coming back. They are running out of fuel. It's going to be Kings who goes from 3rd to 1st at the final run. Oh, this is a bad place to catch him. He's going to be able to get through 1. That's some distance. That is the buffer that he needs. I think that's going to do it for Guven. All he needs to be is fast off the final corner. He spins it. The final corner. Vico's going to win off the final turn and beat Guven, who led this entire race. We've been a bit spoiled this season with incredible races throughout. And while the Nissans have seen the points begin to spread at the top, and the Audis, it's as close as you could want. Will Easter weekend give us another treat? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 5 of the Kamel GT series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Laguna Seca has been the scene of incredible moments in racing, especially in IMSA. Let's head to our track guide to see what's offered here. Welcome to Laguna Seca. Located just east of Monterey, California, it's hard to deny that this is one of the more scenic American road courses. It travels up and down a hillside which not only offers spectacular views, but one of racing's most iconic corners. Clocking in at 2¼ miles in length, 11 turns split up the current configuration. I say current because up until 1988, the track's layout was shockingly simple with a mere 9 dangerously fast corners. But despite becoming a much more technical track, this difficult nature was retained in its modern form. Turn 6 in particular places an emphasis on precision and daring with its tricky dip at the apex and narrow racing line. But the most well-known spot on the track is of course the corkscrew. Blind and kinked on entry, it then whips the driver through a chicane which drops you nearly 60 feet. It's earned a reputation worldwide for forcing even the most daring competitors to second-guess themselves. But there's honestly a refreshingly wide variety in types of corners, making it a perfect track for driver coaching and training. Elevation changes, differing cambers, and every sort of apex imaginable leaves seasoned veterans and newcomers alike spending hours trying to perfect a lap. With the track becoming popular for hosting IMSA, IndyCar, and MotoGP in its recent history, it also brings out lots of vintage racers due to the Monterey Historics each year. Likely to remain a fixture on the American racing scene, this legendary circuit is almost always high on drivers' best-of lists. Its history and its uniqueness are sure to delight all for years to come. Well, Adam, it doesn't quite look like it did back in '89, but this is still going to be a fun and appropriate one, I'd say, for these cars.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. If Montreal was a tight, winding, purpose-built street circuit, Laguna Seca couldn't be more opposite. This 11-turn, 2.24-mile, 3.6-kilometer circuit is known the world over for its exciting elevation changes, including the infamous corkscrew, and also the quarry dust that lines the circuit. The Nissans will feel the most at home here, with their downforce keeping them planted through the 50% of the circuit's corners that are not banked. The Audis will struggle through those corners in the first sector, but turn 6 to the end of the lap is a blast to drive in the GTO. Multiclass here shouldn't be a problem, but the history of the Kamel GT series says otherwise, so keep your eyes open for late moves from the Nissans and late braking from the Audis. Passing here is best achieved into the agility hairpin and the corkscrew, but it's possible just about anywhere if you're brave enough. With the point standings getting jostled week in and week out, I have no idea what to expect today, Joe, but I know it'll be a blast.
Absolutely. And, well, a bit of a surprise this season in the points is that Heitor Sintes Galindo is not only leading, but by more than a win's worth on points. Now, that is, of course, before the drop weeks will come into effect. But even still, Heitor has clearly advanced in his time since he first joined the series. Pablo Suarez is the one chasing that's closest, but Fabian Jungbluth and Martin Krejcik and Ove Trangrade are all keeping him on 6 points between second and fifth. What about in the GTOs?
Well, for the first time in a long time, the GTOs are actually the largest field today, and they're being led by Phil Lake, who's 2 points ahead of Reed Miller, who's 1 point ahead of Nick Bacanos, who's 2 points ahead of Javier Del Olmo. The top four absolutely stacked together in this field. That's another 23 points back to Gianluca Gabbiani. But notice on there, once again, Yuka Leskola not on that list. Now, granted, he's only had 2 bad races. He had a drop last week and then a bad race a couple of weeks before that. He's just returning this week from having COVID, so we welcome Yuko back, and we look forward to seeing him hopefully back up at the top of the field.
As for today's race, it's your standard fare here in the Kamel GT series, a 40-minute event for round 5. It's open setup. Now, it's a very open community as well, as they do share setups with one another pretty freely. It's such a small group, they really don't care about trying to hide secrets. They don't have a spare car, though, so if they get damage, they're going to have to come into pits, and there aren't scheduled stops, so that'll definitely hurt your pace. Now, they have drive-through penalties at 17 incidents and a disqualification at 25. There is some spots where you can run a little bit wide, but there's also plenty of places where you can run into trouble. I mentioned our leader, Sintes Galindo, in the points. Well, he's not here today, unfortunately. As I said, he has more than a win's worth, so he's going to emerge today, still the championship leader, no matter what happens behind him. But some fast drivers have shown up to try and challenge the regulars. Alex Gall returns once again and has the provisional pole up in the GTPs. And the return of Yuka Leskola, who unfortunately was overcoming a bit of illness recently.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned, returning from COVID, so good for him for coming back into the series and back on form. 2/10 ahead of Phil Lake on his first lap. Phil coming across the line now to set his second lap time. And yeah, that's unfortunately not going to put him in pole position. So Phil Lake going to start at least second today. But that being said, we have a new pole sitter right now, Jakub Maciejewski. Wow, that was a fast time. 3/10 faster than Gall.
Yeah, and well, I had already made note of him when I saw him on entering the session, because he has nearly 7,000 iRating, which is just about even with Alex. That'll be a fun race to watch, no doubt, as we watch the 7 now. This is Havdal, who's hopped over from the Lotus 49s a little bit earlier, and now into the Audis, the GTOs. His first lap at 21.8, good enough for 5th, and he's coming around up to the halfway point on his second lap. And let's see, actually it looks like maybe he had a mistake, because this looks like an out lap, and he's already had one, so he might be done with qualifying here.
My eyes are on Laust Olsen, who's just coming through the final corner to start his first qualifying lap. Now, granted, these laps are 1:09 9s, so can he get 2 in? The answer is no. He's only going to be able to get 1 lap in here, I believe. So it's going to be very close for him to get that second lap in before the timer expires. But Laust Olsen starting his first flying lap.
I wonder if he was waiting for the track to cool down a bit, because it is at 102 Fahrenheit on the surface right now. Very sunny out, and unfortunately that means it has been beating down on the track. Now, Martin Krajcik got his one only lap in because his first one got deleted. Unfortunately, it's only good enough for 11th today. And there you see the temperatures on your screen. It's not hot air temperatures. It is only to that track there, Adam.
Absolutely. So absolutely baking down here just past noon virtual standard time for these drivers. Here comes Laust through the hairpin. Look at the wind though, Joe. 8 miles an hour. That's definitely going to affect them at the top of this hill.
So down through the rainy curve and into turn 10. One more to go for Laust Olsen. If he hits about a 110, 109, it might be possible. Like you said, it'll be awful tight as he approaches the line.
I think he might be able to do it. He might be able to do it. There's about a 3-second buffer when the session ends for him to cross that line again. It's possible he could make it there.
A 110 flat. Laust Olsen onto the front row, though. That might be the bigger story here. If he does get around, there is a shot for pole, but he's about 3/10 off. So it'll take some massive improvement. I think if he does hit that time, then he will get the lap to count. So I guess it's either he gets it or he gets pole, or he does not improve at all. And 30 seconds left. Hovdal looks like he was not able to improve on that.
Might be an off track there.
Second lap, yeah. Olsen is certainly pushing here.
Yeah, he just got his right side wheels into that dust that we talk about all the time here at Laguna Seca. But Laust Olsen pushing as hard as he can. We'll see whether or not this lap is going to count. It might not count due to time. It might not count due to that off track, but we'll know as soon as he crosses the line here. If he gets across the line, 3, 2, 1, nope. The clock strikes 0, 2 seconds. He crosses the line, and it's not going to count.
Yeah, once that clock times out, unfortunately, even with the 3 extra seconds, you're not allowed to count it. So you have to cross before it's over. And before we get to the grid, we want to mention our sponsor, the Majors Garage. It's the home of free Baseline Plus setups. Get help from any of the garage coaches 24/7. Sign up now for awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more by simply clicking on our link in the description below. And if you use our special discount code, MajorsGSRC, you'll get 10% off. Even still, if Laust Olsen did not get the pole, this is going to be fascinating to watch. Maciejewski is going to be starting on that top spot with Olsen to his outside. It'll be Alex Gal who starts in third, and he's usually fast. Tomoyasu was in the hunt last time out at Montreal. He's going to try and come back and see if he can do it today from fourth. Another high I-rating driver. Fabian Jungbluth will be P5, and Xavier Sanchez will be 6. After that, you've got Javier Mascara in 7th and Pablo Suarez in 8th. Nim Cross has put in a fantastic qualifying today. 9th place for him as Mark Soya is in 10th. Then you head to the second slide. It'll be John Keefe in 11th. Martin Krajcik got bumped down to 12th eventually. Doug Cloud will be P13 and Emerson Gaudin in 14th. Cam Porter, another one jumping over from the Lotus 49s to race here in the Nissan in 15th. Seamus Power 16th and Jeffrey Furcon 17th. Dylan Vos, Jason Clapper, Sohail Harak, and Christian Arribas round out your 21 Nissans today.
Not that many unfamiliar names in the Audi field, but it's a large field today. We got Yuko Leskala on pole over Phil Lake by just a couple of tenths. A fantastic qualifying for both of them. Nick Mecanos back on form into third position for the start of this race with Javier Del Olmo. He's been really impressive this entire season. Qualifies in 4th, right behind the 2 Dirty Lake drivers. Then we got Matthias Hovdal starting off in 5th position, returning to the GTO after missing a week. Then we got Reed Miller in 6th position. Robert Plumley, a great qualifying for him, up to the 7th spot with, look at this, Alex Millward a little bit far back today in 8th position. Andre Schumacher's going to line up in 9th with Ben Lafter in 10th. Marty Olay is going to line up in the 11th position with Ian Haycox. Not his best qualifying ever either, starting off in 12th. Franco Scurry is going to start off in 13th position with Mark Olay in the 14th position. Then we got Gianluca Gabbiani starting off in 15th with Pablo Rangel in 16th, Daniel Ivana in 17th, Andreas Nielsen in 18th position with Adrian Santa Lucia starting off in the 19th position with Hideki Koivisto, the first driver to not set a qualifying time, in 20th. Then we got Javier Delgado in the 21st, Stuart M. Williams in 22nd, and John Urban rounding out your 23-car Audi field and your 44 drivers here today.
So that's a little bit full for such a short track, and it's going to be full of action, which means we won't have much time maybe to get to the cameras, but let's take a look at them while we still have everybody out there. Ben Lafter in the number 14 is going to be starting right smack in the mid of the pack. They're in the GTOs. There's his VR setup today. We've also got Cam Porter back after he showed us what it's like from the Lotus 49s. And let's see how he fares here in the Nissan. Then, of course, Phil Lake starting from the front of the GTOs. Front row start for him once again. Can he repeat that victory? And Ian Haycox giving us his perspective as well. He's going to be starting from 12th. And then finally, traditionally here in the Kamel GT Series, Lau Stolson back once again, also from the front row. So both of our second place starters in each of the classes, hopefully going to be able to give us a perspective of today's event coming up to the corkscrew under pace speeds. And even under pace speeds, this can sometimes be a little bit scary going side by side.
Yeah, absolutely. We've actually seen some incidents here through the corkscrew under pace laps, both in virtual and professional racing. So it's really worth it to be very cautious when going through the corkscrew. Give people as much room as you possibly can. But that being said, we're about to round the final corner. And who's that in the pits right now? Starting from the pits is Gianluca Gabbiani. So unfortunately for Gianluca, he's not going to be starting in his qualifying position. So starting from the pits, but there's the pace car off. Let's see what Laus does.
All right. So he waits for Jakob to get the jump here as the number 2 is on it early. And man, a big jump over the rest of the field. And he gets a fantastic run down into the Andretti hairpin. A little bit of a battle behind him for third as Alex Gals trying to fend off Inatani. They've also got Sanchez in there and coming off the turn. So far, so good for the Nissan field. Let's go to the GTOs.
We had a wreck in the back of the GTOs. Andre Schumacher actually is going to take a tow at the beginning of this race with Marco Olay as well. But Yuko Lesko got to a good start. Phil Lake got next to him through the final corner, but wasn't able to retain the position. Look at that. I think it's John Keefe off.
Yeah, a little bit of an off track coming through turn 3. He gets it back rolling, but he falls all the way to 18th. So that is a big loss on lap 1 at a track where it's tough to pass. And he's going to try and get one of them back here down to the inside of Power. And it looks like he might have that. He's going to have a shallow entry into turn 6. Keeps it out of the dirt, thankfully.
Yeah, absolutely. So John Keefe trying to recover from that mistake. Unfortunately, Gianluca Gabbiani is off and rolling. He's about 16 seconds back of John Urban, but still rolling right now. Look at that. That's a missed position, I believe, from Dylan Vos.
Arribas also having trouble. He falls down to the last of the Nissan field and already crossing the start-finish line. Jakob in the number 2 has completed the first lap. So we're going to see a lot of these in these 40 minutes. And haven't seen any change for position here or at the top of the GTOs. It's looking rather spread out here at the start.
Dylan Vos comes into the pits for some repairs himself from that incident that we saw in the through the corkscrew. So good move from him for sure. Interestingly, Hovdal and Millward are actually battling in the GTOs right now.
So Hovdal getting stuck in right now. Looks like Millward is on his inside, and he's going to break a little bit deeper, take the position behind him. That's Robert Plumley, who was fancying a chance, but could not quite get the overlap.
Ooh, a nice run there from Hovdal, trying to get to the inside of Millward there through 3. Couldn't quite do so. Now they're trying to catch up to the back of Reed Miller, who's trying to cling to the back of Javier Del Olmo. But Yuko Lesko and Phil Lake, Yuko's already out to a 2-second lead over Phil. Phil out to 1.5 over Nick Bacanos. So look at this, a move up the inside from Millward. That's going to take away. Oh, that was close. Hovdal on Millward right there. What a move from Hovdal to take away that corner and absolutely slow Millward up.
That was the lightest little bit of contact through the corner. Thankfully, they both got away with it, but Millward almost elbowed off to the side as we watch them break into the corkscrew once again. Now they try and catch up to Miller just in front of them, and considering they've been doing that while battling, I got the feeling that Miller might be in trouble here in a second.
Yeah, so these Audis are actually going to be the dominant force today. There's about 2/3 of them compared to the 1/3 of the Nissans. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow these guys to look at them side by side again. The 7 trying to go through the 16, the 10 of Millward making the over-under, and he's going to get a good run off the corner and be gone. Absolutely. That's Plumley trying to make the move now on Hovdahl.
Picks up the pieces. He's got the inside, but he's going to have to break deeper, which he does not. And Hovdahl tries to hang tough. Doesn't look like it's going to work out. Nope. Slotting now into that 7th position is Robert Plumley. It's been getting close for 4th in the GTPs. Here we look at them on screen down through Rainy Curve. That's Inatani. They're leading Sanchez, Jungbluth, and Suarez all in line.
Oh, look at that late breaking move from Inatani. Going to go up the inside of Sanchez. Jungbluth has to avoid as well, but Inatani moving up into that 4th position. A great move from him.
That was Sanchez actually into 4th, and Inatani's going to try and fight back, and coming down to the inside, there goes Jungbluth. Another time where we see an opportunity open up. He gets 2 for 1. Sanchez went too deep, so Jungbluth up to 4th.
Yeah, absolutely. This battling is going on all over the track right now. I was going to say, these GTPs are actually going to have their battles broken up by the Audis. This is not something we've seen all season, but look at this. Pablo Suarez now putting some pressure on Inatani. Inatani putting pressure on Sanchez. Inatani up the inside of Sanchez as they go through 5. He's going to get that job done.
Well, I'm just crumpling up my notes and throwing them off to the side now, because the difficulty in passing is definitely not proving to be the case, as drivers are getting very aggressive out here, especially at the top of the field.
Oh.
That looks like Gaudin, who had an off through turn 5.
And this was a weird one. This was contact with Cam Porter, Joe, and they look like they just took each other across the track and to the end of the track. That was really interesting. Oh boy, look at that.
Well, another one out through turn 6. I think he narrowly avoided the barriers there, which is a good thing, because those will definitely do some damage if you get sent off through there. Meanwhile, back to the battles. This is Mosquera and Nim Cross Jr. Nim is going to lose out. Javier into 8th place. Does he cover him off down into the Andretti hairpin? No, he'll leave the door open, but Nim can't brake late enough.
Yeah, but guess who braked a little bit too late? That's Xavier Sanchez, who falls back yet again, gets his right rear tires into the dirt again. Nimcross Jr. gonna have to go on the outside and does so cleanly. Xavier must have a problem. He's going very slowly. Yeah,
something's wrong here. That's 2 times in a row that he just was having trouble through the Andretti hairpin and gave up spots. And Solia, now in the 35, is easily going to overtake him. Something looks wrong on the car. He's either got a hardware issue or something is up with some damage. And we're only 5 minutes into the race, so that's not going to be fun for him to have to deal with the rest of the time through. Meanwhile, our leaders are now hitting the back of the GTO pack, and this has brought Alex Gao up on Laust Olsen. And Olsen has definitely been stepping up his game. He's at a 3,700 iRating, so he's definitely got a bit underneath him. But compare that to the 7,000 of Gao behind him. So he has certainly proven he can battle with the big boys now as we watch on board.
Yeah, absolutely. Laust Olsen definitely trying to put some pressure onto these newer drivers that are coming in to battle with the GTOs. Oh, Hugo Eskala lost the lead.
And this was in turn 5. This was his own doing. A rare mistake. I wonder if he's still suffering from his illness a little bit and isn't at 100%. It is not often we'll see Leskala put a tire wrong.
I mean, you say that, Joe, but and also battle going on right now between Millward and Reed Miller as they went through the corkscrew side by side.
That's going to be Miller on the inside. Oh, he cuts across.
No! What was that?
Oh, Miller goes off. Millward is off too. He tries to keep it out of the wall. Just barely does so. Back onto the track. Both of them losing massive number of positions.
That was, I mean, I understand the desire to do an over-under from Millward, but at some point you got to realize that door's closed.
Yeah, that just wound up pretty messy there at the end. And Millward is still going. Is Miller still out there? Yeah, he is still on track. But they're in 8th and 9th because of that currently. Okay, catch our breath here for a brief moment, because that certainly got exciting for a moment. We come back to Laust Olsen, and Gal has gotten right on top of that rear wing because of the traffic. You can see that is Miller that we were just watching that gets out of the way. Gal can't seem to do anything quite yet, but just the right opportunity could open the door.
Yeah, absolutely. So Laust Olsen very pressured by Gal. Reed, that was Alex Milward turning into the apex of the corner. Gal having to wait for that. So Laust going past Haycox now, and Gal's going to have to figure out his way by Laust actually a little bit into the dirt. This should give it a good opportunity for Gal. Oh, but man, they're going to get held up into the corkscrew here by Plumley. Laust wants to look at the apex, can't do so. So now they're both held up there. But Joe, you're talking about oh my goodness, that was close.
Contact even between himself and Plumley, but Laust got away with it, but I don't think he'll keep the position here. Look at Alex Gal. He is on the charge. He sees his best chance yet, and he's not going to sit around for this one. He's through and up in a second. Yeah,
and very well up in a second, too. A good exit means that he's not going to be under any pressure. So yeah, I mean, we were talking about how we don't expect to see mistakes from Yuko Leskola. Unfortunately, he's been making quite a few of them this season. He's had a very inconsistent run of it, and that's very unlike Yuko. So unfortunately for him, that's a little bit of trouble for him. But looking at this mess, this is our 5th place driver, Tomiyasu Inatani, in the GTPs, trying to navigate through some of the traffic there with Ian Haycox, Robert Plumley, and Alex Millward.
Yeah, Ian Haycox, let's check out his on board. He's going to get overtaken now by Pablo, who's in the other class. So, and Pablo making a bit of an ambitious dive. Plumley's getting roughed up here lately. That allows Ian to catch up, and Millward as well.
Absolutely. So some pressure on both of these drivers. Look at Ian, very smooth through turn 6. So great job as they head up the Ray Hall straight towards the corkscrew. Alex Millward looking to the inside of Ian. Ian's trying to give him room. Millward giving Alex some room as well. So, wow, close stuff there. Looks like Cam Porter's had an issue.
And that's an off through turn 6. But yeah, Ian and Alex, man, big respect between them, just giving enough space. Oh, and that's not giving enough space at all. I think that's Porter, who's going to get back to the track.
Oh, and Ian Haycox just got wrecked.
Oh, no. That was out of the final turn, and I see it.
That was Millward again. Millward spun 2 people today.
Oh, and unfortunately, it was a little bit of 3 wide as I'm going back and looking at it on my screen, and that caught up yet another Nissan as well. Nimcross Jr., actually, of all people, that was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Looks like Nim got away with minimal damage, but Ian Haycox is in a very difficult spot as he tries to get it pointed back forwards. So here's that first incident between Cam Porter. I'm trying to see who else that is that made contact. Is that Rebus?
I believe that was Christian Rebus, yes. So, yeah, unfortunately, he had to keep going. And here's the incident with Ian and Alex, and I believe that's Mascara?
Yeah, Mascara got to the inside. I wonder if that just put both of them off. And in that situation, I don't really put too much on Alex for that one. He probably was caught out by it and had to try and figure out where to go at the last second, and a 3 wide through that corner is not easy to do. This is the 32 of Ivana, who's down to 15th. He had a bit of a spin there coming out of turn 3. He catches it without hitting anything and carries on.
Absolutely. And take a look at the battle for the lead here in the GTOs. Phil Lake and Yuko Leskola. Yuko, having recovered from his issues, definitely has better race pace than Phil, but the consistency just isn't there this season. It's funny to say that because Phil was struggling with consistency last season. So here's Pablo Suarez. Oh, Phil! No, spoke too soon! Phil's trying to hang on to it, slides it through the corner. I think he'll be able to save this, but he's going to lose the lead. Oh, that was close.
Wow. Wow. Breathes a sigh of relief, I'm sure, as we watch his onboard cam now, and he gets right back to it. Inches away from touching the barrier there was Phil Lake.
Curse, Joe.
Yeah. You're right, though. He has actually been very consistent this season. A first, a second, and a first, and then he had a 0 in round 3, although that wasn't as much his fault in that first one. Oh, Nimcross Jr. with a problem.
Yeah, he has some left side damage that I did not see before.
This was
so he picked this up recently.
He touched the grass, though. Well, the dirt, I guess you could say here, coming off the corner, and just spun himself. So that was a self-spin there for the 21, but didn't hit anything, thankfully. He's now being challenged by John Keefe, who we saw have his off on the very first lap. Hasn't made many inroads, unfortunately. He's still sitting down in 18th. Nim doesn't look like he's going to fight this too hard, although he holds on to the spot, but he definitely gave him the apex down there into 10.
Yeah, I think Nim is feeling some damage right now. He's definitely got some on the left side and a lot on the front, so he's not going to have any speed. Oh, my goodness.
John thought that he had space on the inside. Nim giving a little apology over the radio. I also want to report Laust Olsen did the same after his contact with Plumley a little bit earlier. So again, the good sportsmanship through this field is still showing up in spite of all of the craziness here today at Laguna Seca. We come back to Jakob, who is our leader in the GTPs, 5 seconds over Gal, who has absolutely dropped Laust Olsen. That is 4.3 down to the number 11. And he sets sights on trying to catch up to that number 2.
Yeah, Gal's got some work to do to get up to that number 2 driver of Jakob Matuszewski. So it's, like you said, about 5.5 seconds to get up there. And Jakob absolutely trimmed out for this track. He's riding the ragged edge of traction. And there you can see Gal quite a bit quicker on the last couple laps, but I'm not sure if he's going to have enough time for this.
If he's about 1.7 seconds quicker, that's enough time to catch up in 25 minutes. That's actually an impressive amount. I don't know how much Jakob is playing it easy with the traffic, though, and trying to play it safe. We'll have to watch out for that. Amazingly, after Phil Lake's incident, he's still in second position down there in the GTOs. Oh, well, who's this?
Off.
Oh, no.
This was almost contact with Javier Delgado. Javier Delgado back in 14th position in the GTOs, and Jungbluth managed to save it, but that was close. And Ian Haycox looks like he's having a little bit of issue. Oh, someone else is off in front. They're just off all over the place, Joe.
I told you, it's a hard track. And, well, let's go back to Ian Haycox now, who is returned in 15th position. And he's got Franco Scurry behind him. Oh, but Scurry must have missed a shift. Oh, he still can't get it in gear. There we go. Now we're rolling.
Yeah, Franco, he has major damage right now. He was in the pits for 4 minutes to get a meatball repaired, so unfortunately Franco's having an issue. But 9th place is a good battle for the GTOs. Pablo Rangel and Marty Olay, and they're getting caught by Jeffrey Furcon, and soon our leaders as well. So this is going to become a very big bottle up if they stay side by side.
And they do, all the way down through the corkscrew. Olay's trying to carry that speed as best he can. Rangel is going to have to give way. And here comes our overall leader. Round the outside of one. Does he dare the other? He does. Thankfully, Marty is a veteran. He saw it coming.
Yeah, that's gutsy, because the Audis tend to absolutely fly out to the edge of the track off of that corner. So Marty saw that move coming and gave Jakob that move, but oof. Oh
yeah. The traditional advice we hear from those Audi drivers is don't pass on the outside of the exits on the corners.
I can report that Matthias Hovdal recently had an issue. He spun it out coming out of turn 3, just getting into the dirt. So he's now in a 3-way fight with Robert Plumley, Alex Millward, and Reed Miller. 4-way fight, actually, for the 5th position.
And Millward took a little bit of a look there up into turn 6, couldn't quite get it through. And they've got Nim Cross behind them, who's trying to wait patiently. Good under braking there for Alex Millward. We know he's got a little bit better pace in this, and he has been higher up, but it seems like he just can't seem to stay out of trouble today.
Absolutely. So, yeah, this 4-way fight for the Audis, doing a good job right now of just hanging on to those. These are all guys who have had spins or contact with other drivers, now battling it out for that 5th position. Up in front, Yuka Leskala still 4 seconds ahead of Phil Lake. Nick Meccano 6 seconds back of Phil, and then Javier Del Olmo 3 seconds back of Nick. And then we got these guys 5 seconds back of Del Olmo. So they're about 20 seconds off of the lead of the GTOs right now.
Here comes our overall leader to the back of this pack now. He's not under threat currently. Gal has not been able to gain as much this recent couple of laps. Oh, Fabian Newbluth has had another problem off at the final turn.
Yeah.
And
self-inflicted, unfortunately.
Yeah, another self-spin. Ooh, here we go. Once again, great exit from Hovdal. Took a little advantage of the lapping GTP. Great exit, oh, but wheels in the dirt, and Plumlee lives to fight another day.
Absolutely. So Hovdal, so Plumlee on Hovdal on Millward with Miller in the back. So Plumlee leading this pack. Hovdal putting some nice pressure onto Plumlee, and then Millward trying to chase on the back of these guys. Look at that. Hovdal with a great exit. He's going to try the inside.
Looks for it, but can't quite get the car in there. Millward says, all right, that's my chance to try and get stuck in as he tries the inside, but he might be 3 wide again. Thankfully, no, that GTP does not send it too deep. That is Gal, yeah. He knows better than that, I think, in this situation.
Here he comes up the inside. He's just got to get through. He had to bolt his way through there. So it's going to actually open up. Javier from the inside. That is Christian Arribas in 18th.
Oh, no.
And Plumlee loses the position, so Arribas is off. Here we go with the chaos all cracking off here for this battle for 5th.
Plumlee still fighting it out. He's going to hold on side by side with Hovdal. Can he carry the speed? No, he just gets fed out. And is this Jungbluth, I think, with them? No, that's Furcon in there. And Laust Olsen, that's not for position that we're seeing trying to come through. Still, it is causing all kinds of headaches for this GTO class.
Absolutely. So that's Laus going through. Then comes Tomiyasu Inatani in the black machine trying to come through as well. So Laus needs to get going. He can't wait up for very long. They're all going to come up to the corkscrew, nose to tail, and snake their way through.
Finally going single file for a brief moment. Back down the hill once again. Oh, don't go. I was going to say, do not go outside of Plumlee there, Inatani. And thankfully, he decides it's better to wait. As just miscommunication abounds here today. Big lockup from Alex Millward coming out of the final turn, and also big wheel spin coming off the turn from Tomiyasu.
All right, so Millward is the one who benefited from all that chaos up into that 5th position and pulling a little bit on Plumlee, but these four are they're going to continue to be inseparable as they should all still be within draft of each other. I say that as Hovdal spins out.
Oh,
major contact.
Big hit. And he toes immediately. Yeah, he knows that's it. That's day done right there. Just thwapped it into the wall. And, well,
that's actually going to disconnect Reed Miller from this pack, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, what was such a close fight has now entirely spread apart. Millward and Plumlee still relatively close, but yeah, things have suddenly just all separated. Now, remember Jungbluth and his issues? Well, he's trying to fight back. Well, no, he's not fighting back. He is through on Mascara in a decisive move. And in the meantime, we're looking at Keefe just ahead of our overall leader.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is, though, and that was Christian Arribas off again in the background. Self-spin, unfortunately, through the corner. They come up on Nim Cross Jr., who recently came to the pits for repairs. So Nim's going to move over and let Jungbluth go by. Should let Mascara go by in the next corner, maybe entering the final corner. Oh, and Cam Porter's at it.
Not the first time today, unfortunately.
And this was off of Emerson Gaudin, who made an extreme dive into turn 6. Or into turn 5, rather.
Car looks like it's not handling well as he tried to get going. It just veered off the track. Not sure. He must have some sort of suspension damage this time. We'll keep an eye out and see if he has to come into pit lane. He's going to get overtaken by Gal now. Oh, and who's that off?
That's Adrian Santalucia, who's off in the background. Another self-spin coming off of turn 6.
Yeah, it's down in 14th and dropping.
Yeah, that infamous dirt is just eating people alive today, Joe.
It's been tough. I knew it was a difficult track, but this is a pretty thick field in terms of talent, and to see this many find themselves off track in for repairs or simply out of the race is pretty shocking today. Meanwhile, there you can see Phil Lake having to deal with Laust Olsen trying to go by. Lake's still at about 5 seconds back from our leader, Leskala.
Yeah, so after all that chaos, most of our battles have broken up at this point, and just over halfway through this race, 17 minutes to go, or we're into the 18th minute of this race for these drivers, so quite a bit of time left for them to sort things out. But my goodness, this was a chaotic start to the race for sure, Joe.
Yeah, this hopefully should allow everybody a chance to try and refocus now that most of the battles have come apart somewhat. Olsen 9 seconds off of Gal. Man, after he lost that position, just looked like Alex was just nowhere to be seen from there on out. Who's that off track there?
That was Suil Harik. Suil's actually been into the pits for a black flag for too many incidents already, so he's very close to a disqualification right now.
And he's right in front of a battle between Jungbluth and Mosquera. So after Fabian got by, Mosquera would like to try and take that one back. They've also got Nimcross behind them, but he's a lap down, so he's not fighting them for position. They're still having to deal with all this GTO traffic out there on the circuit and coming down through the corkscrew. That does not work well for Javier, who has to wait patiently behind the 32.
Yeah, so Javier has to wait, but Jungbluth getting very held up by the stricken Harik, who's really not moving over. Now, granted, remember the blue flags are only advisory in official sessions here, but this has absolutely brought Mosquera back into the fight, so should have a decent run down to turn 1.
Yeah, if you're able to keep pace and you're not holding them up, there's no reason that you have to give way. And down into the braking, he is going to try and pull off to the outside. This should let them through now. Yeah, there, nice job by the 36 in that one. And it unleashes them to try and deal with each other, but it certainly worked out better for Fabian, who gets a gap of about half a second. We'll also get Mukanos. Not sure if Javier was going to be able to get by. No, he's not.
Yeah, so unfortunately that's going to break up that battle a little bit as well. So the traffic definitely being the complicating factor here for all these drivers. Another battle that's going on is 6th place in the GTOs between Plumley and Miller. There you see Plumley, Reed Miller tucked in behind. These are GTOs of Xavier Sanchez and Mark Sola going through as well to try and navigate their way as Sola decides to take to the dirt to go around Daniel Ivana, who's lapped a GTO.
Yeah, I thought he might spin back across the track doing that. Thankfully, that didn't happen. So Miller continues to hound Robert Plumley here today in these final 15 minutes, but the exit compromised by Ivana.
And Jungbluth went off in the final corner.
Mosquera gets the position right back again.
Picked himself, did Jungbluth.
And that's not the first time he's had a problem in that turn, so it seems to be a bit of his bane today. And coming off the Andretti hairpin, he's not too far back. It's still about half a second. So he could once again try and overtake. Just all depends on what the traffic does, what his pace is. As for hard chargers, both these guys about around where they started. But behind them, Jason Clapper has been up 10 positions in the 34. So I want to give a tip of the hat to the number 34 machine. Wonder if we could have a chance to look in on Ben Laughter. Everything else has been happening out on tracks. We really haven't had a chance to see how he's been handling this race in the 14 machine. And he doesn't have anyone to battle right now. He's in 10th. I'm a bit surprised. He's actually where he started this race. I thought that was a little low for Ben. Usually he's fighting for top 5s, but pace just isn't there.
No, unfortunately, and he hasn't been able to capitalize on any of the troubles befalling any of the drivers ahead of him either. So unfortunately, Ben just being in this no man's land has meant that he's been really falling afoul of traffic, and that's what's been holding him up and not giving him pace. So Ben Laughter 9 seconds behind Pablo Rangel. So a long way to go.
Is he expecting the rally heritage of the Audi to help him out? Because he's got a co-driver seat right now.
Well, another thing he's dealing with, notice the hood. We could see it from this perspective. That's not normal in the Audi. So the hood, he's got some right front damage there. It's right behind his camera, but yeah, there you can see the right front is extremely pushed up. So he's not getting any drive out of that right front wheel. So that's definitely going to be affecting his straight line speed by about 10 miles an hour.
Let's go back to Mosquera and Jungbluth, because that's come together once more. And the number 9 has gathered up the gap, was trying to threaten on him, but couldn't do anything into the corkscrew. Now they've got Laguna, our leader in the GTOs. So are they going to try and respect his race here? Yeah, and he's going to do the right thing, just kind of let them go.
Yep, and what's funny is you may think to yourself, oh, Laguna is like backing off way too much to let these guys go. No, that's actually a smart move as the leader of the race. The last thing you want is two battling guys who are absolutely not thinking about your race at all to wreck you out of the race. We see it happen a lot. So Laguna letting those guys by, maybe giving up some time to fill Lake, but actually is going to do himself the benefit of making sure that he stays safe.
Yeah, I feel like one thing the Kamel Series teaches drivers who stick around for a while is self-preservation, if anything. Coming up the hill once again out of turn 5. Man, Jungbluth is just there, but can't seem to get up close enough to actually get side by side. They go by Stuart Williams from the GTOs. Yeah, look at how good he is up into the braking. And if he was just a couple car lengths closer, maybe he could actually attempt something.
Yeah, absolutely. But the issue he's having is that he has a lot of front brake bias set into that machine. So on corners like this one, where he actually clipped the rear, where he clipped the dirt with his rear right tire, usually he's expecting to be tight into those corners, but unfortunately not the case. Now, interestingly, the battle for 9th position in the GTPs has really started to spice up a little bit. Here it is.
Yeah, Clapper just got passed by Doug Cloud. And Doug's trying to skitter off into the distance as they both now go by Laguna as well. Is that for position behind them? Yeah, that's Sanchez. Xavier Sanchez, who is out of position.
Our leader went off.
Jacob has had a problem. This was in turn 10. And he did get checked up by traffic, but he didn't hit anything or anybody. I think he just took too much inside curb. Let's get a replay on board here.
Yeah, this is 1,000% worth a replay because this is an important lesson for high downforce, tight spring drivers when they're going through this very, very sharp turn 10. He's still on the track. He's not on the curb, but there is an extreme bump at the center of that curb on the pavement. Now, looser sprung cars like the Audi can absolutely take that corner and be fine, but the tight sprung high downforce machines like the GTPs or the LMPs are going to have real issues with that, and you can see it just upset the suspension. He got a little bit of a wheel hop and that sent him around.
Great job catching it, keeping it from going completely around, but by the time he did that, Alex Gal was able to just streak on by, and he's got about 2 seconds. So this is still absolutely possible for the 2-car to catch back up and try to take the win, but he's going to have a hard time because Alex is actually rather experienced and has taken multiple wins here on the broadcast for Kamel GT.
Yeah, but if you think that, I mean, some drivers do better when they've got the motivation to pass people ahead of them. Oh, Laust Olsen's had a problem too.
He's going to lose out on the podium because of that. Outbraked himself into the corkscrew. So drivers having trouble here at the end of the race. Wonder if the brakes are just starting to fade that little bit.
Oh, and who's that off?
Whoa. That was Alex Millward again, and doesn't have a black flag himself, but I got to think he's at risk of running into those 17 incidents if he's not careful, because we've seen him in multiple adventures today.
Yeah, so Millward actually did clip the inside curb of 10, so that's what sent him off. Oh, look at this, Mascara and Jungbluth again.
Down into that final corner, Jungbluth a little bit more timid this time. No wonder. He's had 2 offs. We've seen him nearly spin the car coming into there. And the number 9 loses time because of that. Mascara doing a fantastic job to keep this battle going between himself and the light blue number 9.
You know, it's really interesting, Joe. Watching this race, it's one of those races where I feel like everyone's trying a little bit too hard. Oh man, Jungbluth off again.
That might have put the nail in the coffin on that fight, unfortunately. Also, Sanchez just got by Clapper with a smooth move a little bit farther down in the pack. So Clapper loses yet one more, just basically... Actually, that must have been a while ago. Yeah, Sanchez was on defense from him through those last few corners. So not sure when he made that pass, but he's up there now.
These drivers are just taking a little bit too much out of this track. The fastest drivers I've seen around Laguna Seca are always the ones that look slow, and these drivers look like they're on the ragged edge. And around here, with how close the edges of the track are, and the fact that it just drops off into basically silt on the edge of this track, it's very dangerous to try and make moves around here. So, look at this. This is they're all coming up on this battle. This is the battle. Oh no, Cloud! This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, Sanchez said, "Get off of my Cloud," and Doug took that personally. He spun it into the inside wall. 27 with severe damage on the nose. Not sure. No, he does not have a meatball flag, but he's not going to have any downforce on the front of the car either at this point. We continue to watch Jason Clapper punching above his weight class here today. 34th in iRating and sitting 9th in his class.
Yeah, the man's doing a good job right now. I can report that Alex Gal still leads Jakub Machajewski by 2.5 seconds, so that gap has not closed at all since Machajewski's spin. So that's just an interesting thing to note as we're closing in on the final. We're in the final 7 minutes of the race.
Yeah, but the
Look
laps.
at this, they're up to Martin Krajcik, and that's Adrian Santia Lucia, who's going to cross the track. Everyone very careful. Good job from everybody to slow it down there and make sure not to create a bigger incident.
Santa Lucia, just, I'm sure there were plenty of Spanish swear words that were coming out of that car as he tried to come to a halt. Thank goodness nobody made contact heading down into that corner. That would have been an almighty mess. Meanwhile, Krajcik, who is up to 8th here, up 4 positions from where he qualified, and Jason Clapper, who has been overtaken by a few recently. Let's see if he can make an overtake instead as he closes up on these two.
Yeah, Clapper honestly is outperforming all expectations right now. He has absolutely just kept his eyes set forward and just tried to pass as many people as possible. Yes, he's gotten past a couple of times, but his focus has been purely on what's out his front windshield, and you can see that in how he's been approaching Krajcik recently. Jeffrey Furcon taking away the inside of 5, though, is going to put him back into the clutches of Xavier Sanchez.
Yeah, Furcon's a lap down, so that's not 4th position. He's just trying to stay out of the way. Bad news for Doug Cloud fans. He has had to head to pit lane to try and get some repairs here late in the race and see what he can do with that front clip. I'm not even sure he'll be able to return to the track in time to finish this one. So we fly down the hill just ahead of Sanchez, and that's Martioli, and I think he is going to be able to get out of their way just in time.
Yeah, absolutely. So he gets out of the way. That's Nimcross Jr., who took it too deep into the final corner. He's trying to return to the track safely. Just so many drivers just having their own incidents today, Joe. It's honestly quite unlike this series.
Yeah, this has been incident filled, but I will say we haven't seen as much of the case of the incidents being silly moves between classes and whatnot. Yeah. It's been a lot of drivers just making their own mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clean as far as the racing between each other goes, but that being said, it has not been clean when it comes to their solo pace. So yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of solo pace, Machajewski's up to 1.3 seconds back and gaining on Gal. Now, some of it was with traffic, like he just overtook right there. Whoa. He's going to lose a little bit of time. But, I mean, he kind of had to make that move, if I'm honest.
That was extremely gutsy.
Yeah, he's running out of time here. He's only got 4 minutes left on the clock, but he can see Gal up there, and he can also see a car off. Doug Cloud, who did return to the track. Well, sort of. He's off the track now. He'll get back there eventually. Anyways, as we come down through Rady Curve and to complete another lap, let's see, 3 to go, I think. Yeah, 3 laps to go here.
Absolutely. So Machajewski is now on plan don't lift. This is where you go, you just keep your foot to the floor and try and use the steering wheel as your way of navigating through all of the traffic, because he has to close this gap. He cannot afford to lift for these Audis. He's got to stick his nose in everywhere, and hopefully the Audis recognize how close this is for the lead of this race. Oh, but he goes a little bit wide through 3. That's going to lose him that second that he'd gained.
Frustration, I'm sure, under the helmet of the number 2 car. And just as that happens, Gal has caught up to some more lap traffic within their own class, and they're going to behave quite well. Furcon's going to allow him through. So that's going to make it even more difficult. Multiple cars now between the pair of them. And up next is Nim Cross Jr. as well as Suhail Harak.
Absolutely. So riding on board with Machajewski as he's closing in on Furcon ahead. 2 seconds now separating Gal and Furcon. As Clappers had an issue, he took it too deep, I believe, into the final corner. This is actually contact with the lapped car of Stuart Williams. So unfortunately, Stuart Williams just now recovering.
Yeah, Williams had an off. He dipped his wheels, and that spun him right into Clapper, unfortunately. So I don't think Clapper's to blame on that one, as he's just going to slow and let the leader by. Gal still at 2.5 seconds now with 2 laps to go. This is looking good for the number 1 machine out there, who may have started from 3rd place, but is not going to let that compromise him on this one. Grid position sometimes means something, but sometimes it means squat here in Kamel.
Yeah, and watching Machajewski, honestly, his setup does not look super comfortable. He's been wheel hopping into the corners. He's sliding out, coming out of the corners. This man's not in a comfortable setup, but it may be a fast setup. But 2.5 seconds is a lot to close in the final 2 laps.
Yeah, he's got to make risky moves, essentially, or hope for some luck. This is not luck. This is a lot of cars in front of him at a very difficult place to try and overtake them.
And these 2 are battling. Reed Miller and Robert Plumley. Plumley's not going to want to give up the apex. He doesn't. Oh, Machajewski takes it deep, survives it, but that takes Plumley off and gives the position of 5th to Reed Miller.
Those 2 definitely made contact, sideswiped him. So Miller gets a spot, and Plumley, if he feels aggrieved after this race, I wouldn't blame him too much. Yes, Jakob had to make that to try and keep the pace up as we get the white flag out now, but it certainly did not make him friends today.
No, I would have some very strong words with Jakob if I was Plumley. But that being said, Jakob 3 seconds back and falling. I don't believe he's going to catch Gal by the end of this race.
Also, white flag being given to Leskala as well. He's got 5.5 seconds over Lake. Phil, I think, only has himself to blame today. It probably was some others that maybe held him up a bit, but he could have maybe run this one a little bit cleaner. Even still, he'll keep up his streak of 1st and 2nds when he does score points.
Yeah, absolutely. There is Phil coming through the first set of corners as well. He's trying to hang on to this 2nd position. I'm sure kicking himself about the mistake that he made. Here's a battle for 5th position between Pablo Suarez and Javier Mosquera, with Fabian Jungwirth only a 2nd behind as well. This one will be close going to the line. But that's our winner, Gal.
Alex
Gal
Gal
just finished.
Takes the win here at Laguna Seca. Sorry, I was trying to check results for a second, and we got a little too close to the finish. And Leskala is going to come up the hill with a handy lead over Phil Lake. It is still possible he could lose the win here, but they're the only 2 that are going to finish on this lap.
Absolutely. And just behind them is that battle for 5th that I'm keeping my eye on. But here we come with
Phil just hit a stopped car, Stuart Williams. I think he's going to be able to keep continuing. But that was not the way he wanted to finish this one, as I think Leskala is coming around the final corner. And that is going to be yet another victory for Yuko Leskala, back from sickness to getting to celebrate here today. Let's hope he's got the energy for that one, and Lake will cross in 2nd. That's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Laguna Seca. Victory for this man, but also victory today in round 5 for Alex Gal, who managed to overcome others having mistakes and just keeping it tidy himself as he finished just about 3 seconds ahead of Maciejewski, who was P2 from the pole. Looked like he had control of it, much of it, but then gave it away. Tomoyosu Inatani still hasn't taken the victory, but is certainly proving himself in this series, getting a 3rd place. Laust Olsen, a 4th rather, but he could have had maybe a podium as he started from 2nd and just couldn't keep up the pace with all those around him. Still, his qualifying looks impressive. Javier Mascara was P5. I think credit needs to be due for that 12 car because a top 5 for Javier is going to be a good result. Suarez was behind him in 6th with Jungbluth down in 7th, all over the place today. Martin Krajcik, P8, is followed by Sanchez in 9th, the last one on the lead lap. Jason Clapper still gained a lot of positions. Wasn't perfect, but he was up 9. I think he may have been a hard charger today. First one lap down. Solia was 11th with power in at 12th. Gaudin P13. John Keefe, unfortunately, that early incident going off the track, I think cost him any good chances of a decent finish today. He was 14th. Cam Porter 15th, 1 lap down. Herrick 2 laps down in 16th. Then you've got Doug Cloud, Furkan, Arribas, and Nimcross Jr. all suffering all kinds of setbacks, and Vos was a DNF today in the GTPs.
We have our GTOs with Yuko Leskala taking the win even after having an incident as well. But Phil Lake had his own incident that sent him back about 5 seconds from Yuko finishing in the 2nd position. Nick Bakanos managed to be consistent and not get taken out by any GTPs, so that puts him on the podium today in 3rd position with Javier Del Olmo finishing in 4th, Reed Miller tucking himself into 5th, our first driver of the top 5 to gain a position in this race. Then we have Robert Blumley, who finishes in the 6th position with Alex Milward in 7th, Marty Olay in the 8th spot with Pablo Rangel in 9th, and Ben Laughter down in 10th, not able to improve at all today, unfortunately. Andreas Nielsen's going to finish in the 11th position with Ian Haycox able to hang on to 12th, even after all the chaos that happened to him at the final corner early in the race. Gianluca Gabbiani finishing in 13th with Javier Delgado in 14th, Adrian Santalucia finishing in the 15th position with Daniel Ivana in 16th, Stuart Williams 17th, then your drivers who had major issues: Matthias Hobdal, Franco Scurry, Mark Ole, John Urban, Andre Schumacher, and Hideki Koivisto.
And that's going to take us to an interview with 2nd place in the GTOs, Phil Lake, joining us. And he was in the lead for a little while, but didn't seem to be able to hold on to it. So, Phil, I have to ask you, you managed to get the lead away from Yuka, and it almost looked like you succumbed to the pressure. Was that the case?
No, we're just you're so close to the edge of the track doing the kind of lap times you need to do. So I just the grip here is odd, I guess, because it's sand and like dirt on the edge of the track rather than grass. So if you get a tiny bit of your tire off the track, you just instantly lose the rear. So I was pretty lucky to save it, actually. I think without a car there, I would have been able to get back on the track, but I had Yuko and I think there was a GTP behind me as well, so I had to just kind of try and stay off the track and collect it up. So yeah, I'm pretty frustrated. I've done a lot of practice all of these weeks leading up to this. I mean, I've been doing at least 4 hours, usually closer to like 8 hours of practice each week, and to make stupid mistakes like that is really, really annoying.
I mean, I can understand the frustration. And speaking of which, it looked like after that, you didn't seem to have the pace to catch up to Yuko. Was that more down to traffic, or were you genuinely kind of locked together at that distance?
Yeah, I can match him, but I don't think many people have the pace to close a 4-second gap. So, I mean, usually he starts really, really fast, and then settles into a pace similar to mine. So when he made basically the same mistake I made, which is just touch like a tiny, tiny little bit of dirt, and off you go. So yeah, once we were actually together on track, I think I can compete with him. It's just getting there, and then when I handed him a 4-second gap or whatever it was, the traffic was awful, but I'm sure it was for him too. Yeah, there's not a lot you can do.
I guess the positive to take out of this is you're kind of pulling from Yuko's playbook, honestly. Other than a single no score, you're all firsts and seconds this season. That's impressive consistency.
Yeah, yeah. I guess a lot of people wouldn't be too disappointed with second, but it feels like a little bit of a 2-horse race at the moment. So first, seconds until the end of the season wouldn't cut it. So yeah, I've got to keep working, try and be faster next week, and see what we can do.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for you. Again, congratulations for another podium. Anybody you want to give a mention to?
Yeah, just you guys as always, and my teammates.
All right, so that was our second place finisher here in the GTOs, Phil Lake. We've got, it looks like, fourth place in the GTPs. Adam has caught up with Laust Olsen.
Yeah, absolutely. Laust, not exactly the finish you were hoping for today, but that being said, fourth place versus these extremely high I-rating drivers, I mean, it must not be too disappointing.
No, it's the finish position is actually okay, but I'm a bit disappointed in myself. Those stupid mistakes, they are way too costly. Not even sure who I was trying to pass into the corkscrew, but I knew as soon as I went for it that it was a mistake, but then it was too late. I should have known better, so my apologies for that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I think we may have lost Adam for a second. There we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, a lot of drivers were having issues, it seems like, with falling off the track today and having their own spins. What do you? Is it just this particular track, or do you think people are just taking a little bit too aggressive today?
This track has also been difficult for me. You gotta be really careful not to get into a slide, because there's not much grip here. It feels like, and as soon as you go too hard on the tires, they lose all grip. So it's quite difficult to keep your lines and keep the tires in a good shape. It's I don't know. I think it was quite hot in the race also. I'm not sure, but you can definitely feel the difference in practice between a cool and a hot track, and there's a lot of difference there.
And so next week we head to Donington. This track has been caused some consternation in the Kamel series in the past. What are your thoughts heading into this race?
It's a fun little track. I'm usually not that quick there, so I for sure have some work to do. But I hope to be able to get up to pace and be able to fight for top position again.
Well, Laust, congratulations on a top 5 finishing fourth today. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
You guys for the great broadcast, the Kamel community, and I would also like to thank my father. He's my brother in these races. Been with me for almost all races for many years now, so that's great. Thanks.
Thanks for talking to us, Laust. That was Laust Olsen finishing in fourth place in the GTPs, and Joe Peak has caught up with Cam Porter, who finished down to 15th today.
It did, and Cam, it looked like you had a little bit of help on 2 of those off tracks today. We caught at least one of them out there. Did you feel a bit like a punching bag in that Nissan?
Yeah, a little bit. It was not my day today. I had an off track because I was passing a GTO car and clipped one of those red curbs, deadly red curbs, and that forced me wide out of turn 6. And then another car kind of had what I felt was an overly optimistic pass attempt when I was recovering into the corkscrew. But yeah, just not my day today.
Didn't seem like it. Still a 15th, but what strikes me as interesting is you come over from the Lotus 49 here to the Nissan GTP, about as different as you can get in terms of types of cars. What do you do mentally between those two races to get yourself ready for all the downforce?
I don't do anything really. I race a lot of different series. I race so many different cars, and I don't know. It's just because of the amount of racing that I do in different vehicles, I don't even really think about it or comprehend. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm so slow. I don't feel like I can effectively use the downforce on this car as much as I should be able to.
I totally understand you on that. I've never been as good at the high downforce machines myself, but we head off to Donington for the next round. We were talking to Laust a little bit about that, and he described it as a fun little track. Is that one that you enjoy?
I do enjoy Donington for sure. There's lots of high-speed sweepers on that track. That should be good for the Nissan. I'm not sure if the hairpin section is going to be included. That will be tricky in the Nissan for sure, getting out of that corner, especially if you're dicing with GTO. But yeah, anytime I'm racing Kamel GT, I look forward to it.
Yeah, it is the hairpin version with the Grand Prix layout, unfortunately.
Right.
So,
okay.
Well, we'll hope to catch you then. And thanks for coming and talk to us. Anybody you want to thank today?
I want to give a shout out to my brother Tim for teaching me everything I know about racing. Thanks a lot, Tim. Love you, bro.
All right. Well, thank you, Tim, for bringing us another fan here on racing. And we're going to close out after that with a big thank you to our sponsor, first of all, the Majors Garage. Make sure and check out our link in the description below, and also use our special discount code MajorsGSRC so that you get 10% off. Big thanks to the Kamel community for also bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music, and make sure and check out our Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today. We've got Adam, Zach, and Dougie here. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. If you want to check out our merchandise store, it's gsrc.storeenvy.com. There's a link in the description below if you want an easy way to get there. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because the next race is going to be, as we mentioned, at Donington Park. That'll be Saturday, April 23rd at 1 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.